It comes down to this, ladies and gentlemen. The grand final of this year's final chance to qualify to the battlement stage of Acropolis 4 is about to begin. And it's Shopkeeper Dog in over the Shambler after a reverse sweep against Newt, who has looked comparatively imperious in his side of the bracket. Let's see what this grand final has in store for us. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we are into our first match. It is going to be Crisis Vector selected by Shopkeeper Dog, who is narrowly the upper seed. He is in the bottom right, the dark green Terran. Newt in the top left is our, turquoise. No, it was cyan. Dude, the color, thought for sure it was turquoise. The minimap color threw me off. We have a Terran versus Terran, boys. The top four of this tournament were all Terrans, so Protoss needs a nerf, obviously. That's the joke there. But hope you guys are having a good time watching Cosmonarchy and have enjoyed the best of fives so far. I'm very excited to see which one of these two is going to skip the battlement stage, or skip to the battlement stage. Really interesting, because I feel like both of these guys could make it. You think about the pro StarCraft 1 players that have joined us, Zeke and Oya, chief among them. Some of our top-rated players, and you know they've been chilling. They've been just relaxing. They rock up. They play their first Tribunal. They make it through, and you know Zeke had to go through the consolidation phase because Ayud beat Top Ramen in the grand final, but Zeke still made it happen, and Oya just 3-0'd everybody on his way to his own appearance in the battlement stage next year. So I'm really looking forward to that. I really want to see how those guys do it, and of course we'll be talking with them when it comes to doing some hardcore gaming. We'll be talking with them in the interviews and stuff, so that'll be fun. But, you know, just thinking about these guys, thinking about the rest of the field that has yet to qualify. Some pretty big names. Obviously, the top four from last Acropolis, which was Hit 'em Up champion, Ayud runner-up, Hamster third place, Krankendow fourth place, and now we've got Zeke and Oya confirmed for our 6 known players. That'll be 7 after this video is over. We'll know it's one of these 2 Terrans. And it does also mean that when you consider sort of like the narrative space that we've got going on here, if Shopkeeper Dog skips it over, it would be like a consolidation of the story that he started when he almost beat Ayud 64 and locked in a top 4 finish. So I thought that was very good. I thought that was very cool. But Newt has been no slouch either. And we know Shopkeeper Dog can have the Johns, as Neblime called it in the cast some time ago in the Tribunal stage. You know, he'll say, "Oh, I'm bad, I'm going to lose," and then he'll win. And that's what happened on, versus Ayud. He took the first 2 games after saying he was bad, and he had no chance in the tournament and stuff. He sounded so dejected in a winner's interview that his wife thought that he lost. That was good. That was a good moment. But, it's just interesting. It's interesting to see how these 2 players are going to match up to each other, because Newt, I mean, he's just kind of quietly popped in, resumed playing Cosmonarchy. He was active for Acropolis 1. Now he comes back for the 4th one, and it made it all the way here in a cleaner record than Shopdog did. So, impressive stuff there. We can dial back into our game to talk about what's actually happening before our very eyes, which is a bit of a Cyclops switch. Perhaps taking a page out of Shambler's book here. Mason will clear a mine, but Shopkeeper Dog does need to lay some more, it feels like, to be absolutely safe. And Newt is not yet going to be pivoting into an expansion. So if Shopkeeper Dog holds this, he's making Cyclops of his own. This should actually allow him to be in a fairly strong position. You can see he's actually pulling away from his choke because he's worried about a drop, right? That's like the logical thought, is that, oh, maybe Newt's going to go for a drop. Now, that's a big stun on 4 out of the 6 or 7 combat units that Newt has brought to the table. Oh, and sniping the Ministry Builder is very, very big there. This shouldn't be too devastating. We do have some reinforcements coming in, but the Vultures just need to split up a little bit. You can see they're having a hard time getting around each other to try to engage onto the Cyclops. One of them very wounded and is picked. We now have reinforcements coming in for Newt. That's going to be 4 Cyclops, and as reinforcements come down the rally from Shopdog, he still hasn't actually reset his Ministry, but it looks like everything is just fine for him. Newt has been cutting workers just a tad. Mines being laid. We got more Cyclops coming. Mines have to be cleared by Newt. Otherwise, there'd be no opportunity for him to push any further. And as a result, he ends up losing a lot of units in the process. So 2 more Cyclops on the way. A stockade has been started. Shopdog either going to be going... No, never mind. I was going to say he's either going to go for that Vestry add-on which is the more meta play, or he's going to do what he does best, which is build Eidolons. But a big Cyclops pull is interesting. It's certainly not something that we see every day. That Vulture, unfortunately, rallied forward a little bit too close, and we got a nice little concave set up there. We will have some repairs come in. Another misrallied Vulture full of mines offered up to the Cyclops gods, and the Ministry will finish up. You know, one Mason was made in that time. As far as, like, you know, efficiency, Shopdog had a great slow from Newt, but the follow-up hasn't been quite as convincing. He is going to go for a third Fulcrum. He's not all in. You know, he's not really even that far behind economically. And he will be going for a star pad. So what Shopdog was looking for earlier, which was the drops, is something that will potentially come into play later. We even have an anchor being started up over here. This is not just for a containment, but you can actually elevator units over. And Crisis Vector has a notoriously large sort of main base that currently Shopdog does not have full coverage of. Adding the Covenant and the Scrapyard, we saw a cute little micro trick where he tried to activate the mine and then strafe backwards with the Vulture and coast to safety. There was no issues with Newt being there, so no punish. But even though Newt is down by 4 workers, that should be about where it stabilizes. It'll kind of vacillate between 4 and 6 until the drop comes in or sort of airlifting happens or whatever. And at that point, you know, you might see a little bit more something, you know, from Shopdog. He might end up losing some workers or what have you. So the Scrapyard is done. The Eidolons are starting up. I do feel like with that third base timing, you know, Shopdog is actually going to be in a pretty good spot. He actually outruns the mine detonation with the Vulture. Now, this is going to be 3 Cyclops and a Vulture. Very, very good drop. You know, and it's not from a drop. It's not from a Trojan. It's from an anchor. Which is going to be a little bit surprising. Now, the Eidolons are already here, so they're just going to focus down the Vulture. That is going to be a good scout for Newt. I wonder if maybe it would have made more sense to focus down the Mason killers of the Cyclops, but as it is, it's not the end of the world. He's going to go ahead and clean that up. Only lost 1 Mason and some mining time. So, you know, call it even. Of course, that third Ministry way faster than Newt's on the other side of the map, and Anseal on the way. We can talk about our players' strengths, but also perhaps their weaknesses, or at least something that is exploitable, right? Now seeing the anchor, is that actually going to be something that Shopdog still takes into account as a possibility of an incoming Trojan? Because there are some on the way. There's one with 4 Cyclops earmarked for that natural... Oh, it's earmarked to fly right over this Vulture, so Shopkeeper Dog will have advance warning. That is so heartbreaking for Newt, except for the fact that maybe... oh, nice little block with the Watchdog. Maybe Shopdog hasn't even seen it, though. I don't think he actually noticed it. His camera did not move over. We got this anchor looking for something here. Looking for some opportunity to come in. The ground army leaves to go and heckle the stuff out here, including the Watchdog, which will be destroyed. But now here come the Cyclops, and we don't have that many combat units over here, so the pull has to be quick. 1 Mason going down. If Shopdog can keep it to around there, it'll be all right. A few combat units just getting shellacked in the process. Got that anchor about... well, it's unlikely to get much else done, but the third base will start on location, and obviously the timing still favoring Shopdog economically. Still has a 1 worker lead for now. There's an Eidolon loose hiding by the ridge, which is hilarious. Not the coverage you would expect, but yeah, there you go. Everything going down now. Cyclops come back in looking for some more Mason kills. Looks like they got 2 in the process. But look, I mean, Newt's been cutting workers a little bit here, so he would have to get a lot more kills to be in any economic lead at this point. And he might not even come away with a single Mason kill to his name off of that drop. Okay, one of them does finally go down. And then, of course, the self-damage is pretty big. 1 Vulture heckling the third base. You can tell that Newt is trying to throw a lot at Shopkeeper Dog, trying to knock him off balance, knock him off his steady footing. And right now, Shopdog is just kind of powering up, but he does have a pretty big float, and he hasn't restocked mining in the main base. He's doing so now. It feels like just about all he can do. Oh, now the Vulture's starting to kill Masons. It's been somewhat successful, all of the taxing of the attention. A couple Anseals coming in. I mean, it's good for Eidolon sniping. We don't actually have a star pad for Shopdog to use versus the Anseals. That was his trademark move. I've seen it against Kutyam. We obviously saw it against the Shambler in the semifinals. Vulture screaming over towards 9 o'clock to report what's going on. And now an airlift of that Ministry. Going to soak up a lot of the attention of the Cyclops while the Matadors take a lot of damage on the way forward. But the approach clears a ton of the Eidolons. Still maybe half of them left to go. And the Ministry dies. I thought Newt was making a mistake. He's actually sacking the Matadors so that the Cyclops could just full kill that town center. A lot of HP they had to chunk through, but that's how powerful the Cyclops can be, you know? Oh, and you can also walk right through it there, Shopdog, no worries. Newt making a ton of Matadors after his Cyclops have gone through. Some of his army in the middle of the map is going to get caught. This is not a better fight for Newt than it is for Shopdog. Love the little magic boxing, stutter stepping that's going on there. And it does seem like Newt's going to be just fine on the hold. But if Shopdog can get in a position with the Eidolon stack, he might be able to start ranging some of this stuff down. I don't like walking through this little area down here where that ant seal is. That feels like it's a disaster for Shopkeeper Dog's army. And he hasn't been able to deal with the Matadors. They're just too chonky for the Eidolons to get through in a short amount of time. And so that overextension kind of costs him his tempo. Another star pad is being constructed, but this one is for Shopdog. He will be having those very important Valkyries to try to deal with the ant seal stack. But what does he have back at home? Okay, some Eidolons, Matadors of his own, that can definitely help out. Trades that Eidolon for the Matador, but obviously Newt's big chillin' on that particular trade-off. He did start a 4th base. That is going to come in there inside the natural and be floated off to the 7 o'clock. Meanwhile, the Atlas is starting up for Newt, and he is going to be going into a more mineral-intensive build. But mining from that double gas low ground base for all this time, very big for Newt. He's definitely got the advantage coming into this mid-game, if you will. We're crossing 11 minutes. This army isn't super scary, but it could still pose to be a bit of a threat. And once again, I mean, Shopdog is kind of victim of something he himself has commented on in the past, which is that this low ground base can be so arduous to actually get through, to actually destroy. The Ministry pushing towards the Cyclops. I love it. Actually, the Cyclops kill the friendly ant seal, it looks like. Eidolons could have also been the target there. But it does look like this will be beaten back. Some 5 more Cyclops coming in to try to reinforce, but the Eidolons have had steady shots this entire time and are not going to be stopped. 4 HP on the remaining Cyclops that will be poked out of there, and it does look like with the treasury up at we'll call it 1 o'clock. That feels like right about now Newt can transfer workers over there, you know, from his main or something like that. He's actually kind of under strength on his worker count, the main and natural. But very good saturation at the 3rd, perhaps a little bit too much. So he does need to wait a little bit before that comes online. Yeah, that makes it feel like even though Shopdog down by 10 workers, he's not down that badly. It probably feels very bad for him. But has he played enough TVT, has he played enough games of Cosmonarchy in general, to know that he's still got everything that he needs to have a fighting chance? Adding Phalanx, we got Mantles coming through. Eventually, the Tier 2 tech for Newt will be a bit of a death knell. Will be a bit of a sort of a final nail in the coffin. Should be able to overpower what Shopdog is fielding. He has no phalanxes with this push that he's earmarked up towards the upper right. He wants to try to flank around positions that would otherwise be present. That one Eidolon is a little bit of a like out of place unit, right? And so Shopdog will actually reveal where his army is. Is there going to be a crunch? I mean, it's a newly minted base up there at the 1 o'clock position. Feels like a great spot for Shopdog to push his army into. Now, once again, 5 Cyclops just kind of stray, wandering in, shutting down the active mining of that 4th base, whereas it's just gotten into full swing over here. You can see the paintbrushing strategy from Shopdog, not quite good enough to kill the Cyclops, so he's got to send a couple units over. It does feel like he maybe is a little bit under the pump. Shopdog not able to find his economic footing. It's just a matter of persistence for Newt, it feels like. Now he's starting to get up a bit of a mineral bank, and his Tier 2 is going for the gold, with Cataphracts coming out. Looks like the Cyclops will trade 1 Phalanx down, kill a couple of Masons earlier. An attempted expansion on location at the 9 o'clock is denied by Shopdog's Vulture. So instead, I'm imagining Newt will just go for the top right. Go to 2 o'clock location. There's only so many times you can just choose to expand your way out of a problem is the issue, I think, for Shopkeeper here. Still been keeping steady on the worker production. He's only down by 9. But the big issue is that his saturation level is much different. You know, he's got better saturation overall, probably, in a lot of these positions, but this one Vulture is going to heckle a little bit. Newt's choosing to disregard it for now. Oh, the Ant Seals do get salvoed down. Cyclops are going to get a lot of hits onto the Valks, but they're still good. They're still good for more fights. Oh, and maybe this is where the Eidolons and the Phalanxes can combine to really do some good damage down range. Ancient stack has been sort of shoved back a little bit. It looks like the Valks have all died. But we have a counterattack coming in with just pure Vulture, and the only reinforcements are a couple of Eidolons and Valkyries, which are not going to help at all. There's more Vultures screaming towards that low ground base. Now, if Newt ends up getting all of his units shellacked in the process, this could still be a problem for him. Despite leading from the pack and disrupting the mining, he just doesn't necessarily have what it takes to overwhelm the Phalanx count. That's one of the things I mentioned about the Cataphracts is they're pretty good versus general units. They've got great synergy versus Phalanx in particular, and obviously Newt's claiming a very good victory over here at the low ground third, but I do worry a little bit about the capacity for what Newt has to clear what Shopkeeper Dog is pushing with. Those some very big salvos, and the Eidolons can kind of finish off whatever's straggling. Vulture tries to come on in swinging. I think Friendly Fire may have been very unfriendly in that position, but only a few of the units going down. One Vulture is not enough to clear the Eidolon, apparently. And there's really nothing over here to protect these Phalanxes, so Newt can just get right on top of them. Although, in the process, he is hemorrhaging a lot of his Cyclops. This is still a pretty critical set of units for Shopkeeper Dog to be losing. He was not able to reinforce the position in time with more units. I love that he force targets the Cataphracts towards the end of these Phalanxes' life. One more shot softens them up so much, so massively. Still room for him to potentially get some more value. He's got more Phalanx in position. He's going to actually just deploy them to stop counterattacks from hitting that low ground third again. It would be like the 4th or 5th time. But top right, 2 o'clock has been taken. Newt on 5 bases right now. Can't say the same for Shopkeeper, who's starting to fall back. He must know he's on a timer, and he's losing tempo in the process. When you're losing fights despite the fact that your opponent invested into that tier 2, that's a big problem. Now, thankfully for Shopkeeper, he has some more units back here in the low ground third. He can just focus on this fight. He doesn't have to busy himself too much. He can take this engagement as advantaged as he can. He's got a deep Cyclops, anti-Cyclops line with these Phalanxes. Eidolons are helping to clear the Matadors, and that one Matador on his side, oh, what a tremendous assistance that was. Vultures are going to come on down from the north. There was another Matador there for Shopkeeper that spent so much of those shots, wasted so many of them. Wraiths are now heckling that 1 o'clock position. If only this one could get off the reservoir, that would be one thing. Meanwhile, we do obviously have this low ground third for Newt now starting to come under the fire. A lot of Masons being made in the process. Shopkeeper just hitting the buttons, just trying to keep things going. Another Wraith arrives. It shouldn't be able to overwhelm that Watchdog at the very least, and a Cataphract will clean things up elsewhere. But that was still a lot of attention taken away. And look at that! The Cataphracts reveal themselves only to be shellacked by the powers of the Phalanx. Reservoir going to be burned down. The Eidolons walking into range of the Ancials. They will be decloaked by the Ministry as well. Thankfully, only one of them going down so far. The Vultures are going to kind of see if they can get anything done, but oh my god. And they say the Phalanx is a fake unit. It's the only thing keeping Shopkeeper in the game. And the Ancial cloud has gotten pretty heavy, and moving in with the Cataphracts coming up north as these ones hit the side from the east. That was a pretty big move there for Newt as well. He will trade down the initial line of Phalanxes, but reinforcements have arrived. Eidolons have also arrived in the top right. 2 o'clock under fire. A lot of Masons going to be offered to the farming grounds, and Shopkeeper's taking the worker lead. Still no 5th base, and he's got a lot of idle Masons over here at the low ground third. Everything seems to be coming up his way, though. Obviously, losing these Phalanxes is going to suck. But he can just switch them over to tank mode, and, well, they'll do exactly as advertised for just a little bit longer. Oh, he's actually brought Phalanxes up here, and it looks like some friendly mine hits were not so friendly after all. That one Eidolon somehow staying alive from all that splash damage. Cyclops have been filtered in as well on the side of Shopdog. He knows that he needs to try to clear these Ancials. The Wraiths are taking some hits. The Phalanxes will try to finish the job from here, and I think they might be capable of doing so. Oh, but honestly, they're kind of overkilling. They are overkilling pretty heavily. But now, with no 5th base, Newt has lost the economic lead, and he's being pushed in on other sides as well. Cataphracts feel like they were not the way, and he's still just making those. Where are the Durandals? Where's the bio or anything like that? This low ground third's been wiped of workers for some time now. Eidolons continue to push in. Unfortunately for Shopkeeper, they were kind of aggroed onto one unit, and so instead of actually focusing down the individual Vultures, they don't get very far. Cataphract will help clean up some of these Phalanxes. Reinforcements still piling through. We have no 5th base for this entire time from Shopkeeper, by the way. He does feel very, very committed to this push. He's going to entrench these phalanxes here, reinforcing through that little midsection. The Cyclops are going to try to find something, but those units are still set up. And look at that. The 5th Ministry is starting to come online. They clear the Cyclops at first, but he's flanking them. Shopkeeper is actually getting the upper hand. This is one of those rare circumstances where Newt kind of hurt himself by going tier 2. And a lot of Terrans will probably be like, yeah, that happens to me all the time. But I have not seen that in a high-ranked game, and now his natural is being pressed into. This is his last saturated mining base that isn't, partially depleted or fully depleted, and it is going to be under fire. All of his units were cleared up over there. His attack onto the low-ground third of Shopkeeper is donezo. I don't think he can easily push into this position. He is splitting. I love the vulture positioning there as well, but it will eventually be cleared. And on the A move, I really don't think these units are going to be living long lives. They will not be telling the stories of this conflict to their forefathers or to their ancestors, or if it's the other way around, but actually with time travel, maybe not. However, with the phalanxes deploying, it does look to me like this round has gone the way of Shopkeepers. I can't believe it. It was so hard to imagine him coming back, but he just kept slamming through. Phalanx Eidolon, Newt calls GG, and one of the fastest GGs back from Sir Shopkeeper. I can't believe he's just won game 1. Lads, let's see what happens in game 2. All right, homies. Listen, it is time for more Terran versus Terran action, and it's going to be Newt's map pick up now. Shopkeeper Dog spawning in at the 3 o'clock's position. He is our maroon Terran. And Newt in the bottom left, we'll call it 7 o'clock, is our dark lavender Terran. That's going to be a bitter pill for Newt to swallow. And I also thought, I don't know about this one. Shopkeeper's got a funny personality to him, right? He's a very reserved, laid-back person. But one of the things he did say in the chat there, right, in the lobby chat, was that he hates that Shambler has convinced people that in TVT you spam Cyclops. And I don't know if that was a slight at, Newt, your playstyle's bad, you made too many Cyclops, or if it was I had to make my own Cyclops just to survive, and I don't like doing that. I don't know what it was exactly, but it was very interesting to me to see that. These spawn configurations haven't been mapped out too much in this particular matchup, but I'm just going to say that looking at the architecture, it will be a little bit harder for Shopdog to get a good push going, but not too much, and he can just use the middle of the map or come in through the uppercut, sort of fall down on him like a hammer onto an anvil. If it ends up being a difficulty to push across that way. I've just seen more successful pushes going from left to right than right to left. Going to be a second fulcrum for Shopdog. I'm guessing Newt is going for his own, yep, based on the resources. There it is. But he is going to actually delay his first military unit for that, and I don't think Shopdog will be doing the same thing quite. Yeah, about the same amount of time. And they scout each other first, so no shenanigans. Or at least if there are shenanigans, they are going to be anticipated. No worries there. I feel like overall, the way that I am sort of sizing these players up, Newt is pretty steady at the macro. We saw him eclipse 100 workers. Shopdog, though, I mean, it's not necessarily to say he's on another level on the macro side, but he does have a better set of understanding on the build order front, I believe. At least as far as typical openers go. We saw him expand sooner and know that he could hold the aggression. I don't think Newt is necessarily going to go for that aggressive opener on a 3-spawn map. But I actually don't know how he wants to play Knife's Edge TVT. I would have assumed that he would have actually leaned away from Knife's Edge on this particular matchup. By the way, something that I thought was cute was that Shopkeeper Dog did veto Acid Test, which is Newt's favorite TVT map. That's one of the benefits of being able to ban a map in the first round before the pick. So it's you ban one map, your opponent bans one map, then you pick one map, your opponent picks one map, and then there's another round of bans and then another round of picks where the culmination is the higher seed picking the decider. So just so you guys know, our third map will be Patadilla. That's the dog pick for number 2. If we get more maps than that, it'll be Frosted Forest as our 4th map, and a salivating Battle Spectre decider queued up after the Rage Slave Paradise and Mass Destruction bans that followed the Acid Test veto. So there you go. All the maps named, but mostly interested in Battle Spectre, honestly. Frosted Forest, I actually haven't seen too much TVT on, to be fair. I guess that's the perfect thing, is that this tournament had so many Terrans, and so many Terrans did well. Shambler surprising versus Neblime. I guess I'm surprised Cannoli defeated Hanmano, but, you know, if he hadn't, there would have been more Terrans there. It just would have been Terran versus Terran in the quarterfinals, or the... Yeah, that was the quarterfinals. Dog lived kind of surprised by so easily dispensing with Smarty Cakes and Art of Turtle. But I think that was down to, you know, Smarty not being able to practice much and AOT being, like, stuck in the mountains. There's, like, mitigating circumstances across both of those. Not to say Dog lived isn't a good player or isn't a good Terran. Just to say that was a surprise, you could say. Yeah, some of the Terrans were able to surprise us with better, you know, victories than maybe we thought. I think most people were out on Shambler's odds when he went down 0-2 to Grass Eater. And that's a fair observation in my opinion, but we will be seeing more from him. He will not have a chance to qualify before the Escozi are released, but, you know, after that, there's many chances to qualify. I guess that was another thing I started to think about a little bit in Game 1 is, what are the players that are likely to qualify? I mean, I did see Dog as the favorite, number 1 in the whole bracket, and there can only be one. You know, second place doesn't count here. Doesn't give you anything. And, yeah, it's interesting to see where this is going to go. But I am looking forward to seeing who else is going to qualify after this series is played in the other tribunals. And where that goes, you know, afterwards. So we do have the Palladium coming very quickly here for Shopdog. He's skipping out on Stockade. I wonder if he actually liked the Stockade as a investment into the future. I feel like Eidolons did play a part in his victory, so it's something to think about. We have a star pad for Newt. He's actually going to add a Wraith in afterwards. His Trojan is going to come in as a little bit of a come down, a fall down. We don't have any watchdogs or anything. It's just mines on the sort of extremity of the base. Units are kind of hanging out around the Saber. And some good mine coverage for Shopdog, but he's not immediately jumping on the reaction. His Vulture count is enormous, so shouldn't have any problems pushing this back and then also cleaning the Cyclops drop up. Newt's already down by 4 workers. It's between 2 and 4. And they put down their ministry at the same time, so that is purely just like I was cutting workers, I was prioritizing other things. Cyclops do force mining back, but the Vultures are very quick to get back in here. So that shouldn't be too big of a deal. Again, you know, partially due to the fact that the minimap is abuzz with information here for Shopdog. It's pretty easy for the reaction to be handled. Now, there are very few Cyclops here for Shopdog, so he's going to want to pinch those over. Wraith is going to pick one. This should have been kind of foreseen. I'm a little surprised he allowed this rope-a-dope move to hit him, and he's probably going to be a little surprised as well. Cyclops is going to try to shoot this Wraith off, but instead, it just kind of serves to aggro him. I think in this kind of situation, when you know your opponent is investing all of these resources into drop harass and air unit harass, you actually should be fine with this. You should just be like, okay, I'm going to focus on defending all fronts and just macro up and tech up. And if I don't take too many, you know, losses, I'm not going to cease my mining for a prolonged period of time. I'm just going to have a better composition. I'm going to have a better army and, you know, faster third base or something, and then just kind of pivot from there. But if Shopkeeper Dog wants to stay true to whatever his, you know, plan was, maybe he's planning more of a 2-base attack with the phalanx count. That could also be something that's sort of piloting him towards a more, a less conservative defense, a more aggressive response to this. Trojan just kind of hanging out here. There is a single watchdog to cover the initial push. It looks like Shopdog will invest in another one. I think that's pretty good coverage for that angle. Really, one of the things that makes Knife's Edge, and of course this is a port of Dominator, whereas Crisis Vector was a original map by Jujic. This is a port of Dominator, also done by Jujic. And oh, cute! Both players going for a third base, Newt a little bit ahead, but obviously Tier 2 is way faster now. This is a, you know, and this is a nuisance, but the Vultures are going to dispatch that. You can see the Watchdog trying to be repaired. The Mason does get killed, so a little bit of incidental harassment, and now Newt has taken the worker lead ever so slightly. His third base is on location. He's got all the map control, but he should be wondering what his opponent is actually doing in the process. Cyclopses are saved. No worries there. Another mine being dropped. I like that, you know. If you drop the unit and then the mine goes off, it stuns the Trojan, and then the Watchdog just kills everything, right? So pretty good tactic for sure. Newt is going to end up just kind of poking around here looking for something. There is no mine laid there. That would be cute to do. And he's trying to maybe push across with his own phalanxes. Has invested into his own Palladium. I mean, there's not really that much here. The Wraith even going to scout ahead. Let's see. The Vultures are now scrambling backwards. We got 3 more phalanxes popping out as the third base is lifted off into the mineral only from his spawn. attacking up a hill against this entrenched position does feel pretty difficult. But I like that Newt is setting up his own map control, right? This is something we see all the time. Tier 2 is done. This has not been scouted by anything Newt has done, by the way. Looks like maybe he attacked his own unit by mistake there. Vultures are migrating around, and they will be caught by a couple of the sort of random units that have been scattered about, I think. Coming back in, looking for any sort of drop he can do, but the Trojan's pretty wounded. He's just going to unload him here. I like this, you know, keeping that top right taken care of. Now, this is pretty good. This is a good attack from Shopkeeper Dog. This is exactly what Newt was doing to Shop Dog earlier. His reactions are very quick. Gotta say, he's a pretty fast player. I mean, Shop Dog way faster in general, it looks like, but that's all right. He's also adding a captaincy and a mantle behind this humongous stun onto the Masons, allows him to continue to push forward. I love this aggressive play from Shop Dog. Killer Instinct onto the worker count. He's even going to go after the Cyclops just to say, screw it, I'm going to do what I can here. And he's committing all of the Vultures, which does mean that his defense is going to be a little bit more lackadaisical. Now he's aware, because of that mine, that some action is happening over there. But he's done a lot of economic harassment during this time. He's killed a lot of workers, shut down the third base mining for some time, so it doesn't matter as much that he has to lift this. But he shouldn't let it die to Cyclops, that's for sure. Tinker's Tower, second captaincy. Mantle not making anything just yet here for Shop Dog. He's added a lot of Goliaths. I wonder what that's about. I don't think that Phalanx is going to be escaping. Indeed, paved into the ground, pummeled. And this is something that we haven't seen too much exploration of on this map, but Phalanxes, yeah, that's a toughie. That is a toughie. So how are you going to navigate this, Shopkeeper Dog? You've got your tier 2. It's being attacked. Actually, some of your tier 2 tech is being attacked by what Newt has. Newt's choice to, you know, respond to this is essentially to set up an expansion again. And now, Shop Dog is going to just try to break across the other Saber, the little hill that was overlooking his position. Cyclops are doing a lot of splash damage, softens him up for the other Phalanx. Newt coming down to try to get some impactful kills, and the focus fire wasn't quite there for Shop Dog, but he, despite losing some Phalanx, is still in good health to just kind of ignore what's happening and push ahead. I love the Ministry to just kind of scout forward. Phalanxes and Goliaths on auto attack should be able to clear these mines before they pop and stun his stuff, but he does need to respect the Phalanx count on the other side, and it does look like now he's going to end up losing everything on that side. He actually is going to concede off of that one. GG. Felt like it was an impossible position for him. Interesting, interesting. Of course, apparently my overlay did not save. I did update it, which I guess you guys are just going to have to trust me, but I forgot to save the PNG over. So a classic Photoshop error. We will now be updated on that side, and I will be showing you guys a fun time there. So with that being said, Newt has taken a game. Let's see what's on Patadia. We are guaranteed at least 4 maps now in the grand final. Alrighty, lads. We are in it. It is time for Patadia. Game 3. The score is tied up. Newt will not be beaten back. The tier 2 rush didn't quite work out for Shop Dog. I think if it wasn't for the map allowing the Phalanxes to just push into his production like that, it would have been a bit of a different story. And also the fact that he did commit all of his Phalanx to a siege mode when he probably should have just backed up after he broke the initial line. But hey, listen, even though TVT might be one of the most played mirrors, I guess DVZ is probably the most played. TVT's in the middle. And I think PvP is probably the one we have the dearth of experience on, because Protoss is such a hard race, guys. Nobody can play Protoss. It's too hard. You have to be so good at the game to play Protoss. Just ask Hit 'em Up. Shop Dog in the bottom right is our teal Terran. Newt in the top left, our, I'm going to say Tyrian purple. But yeah, okay. I was ready to call myself wrong as I was reading the name that I guessed, by the way. And update on anybody who gives a shit, who's basically nobody, about why the overlay didn't update. I did save over the correct file, but I didn't have the correct file active on OBS. Got him! Absolutely got him. I got myself in a different way than I thought I got myself. I thought it was a different form of incompetence. I surprise myself sometimes. We do have a double Fulk from both players, of course, but I want to say that last map could have been more interesting if Shop Dog hadn't, been sort of pseudo-contained. Like, I don't think he recognized what Newt was recognizing, what Newt was going for and angling for when he was trying to take that high ground position where, north of the mineral only And that's another reason why that map in particular can be a little bit challenging from those spawn configurations. So the stars aligned in some ways to make sure that Newt had ample opportunity to get some good action done. Patadia will be a bit of a different story. This is the map pick of Shopkeeper Dog, and we will have an expansion from both players, slightly on the slower side here for Newt, but all's well that ends well, and he will have that ministry come up. One thing that I wanted to point out is I think these two players are in a rare position where, from a skill level, they're high enough, and from a style perspective, they don't really do really big corner cutting. That, like, if you had to pick one player who is going to do some kind of crazy one base all in, gonna, double drop and have one unit at home and be killed by any counterattack, but that doesn't happen and they win a game, it would be Newt. Newt has done that so many times. Versus all races. And versus all skill levels as well. Like, that is just something he likes to have in his repertoire, right? He likes to be a balanced player in that respect. And some people would accuse that of being very imbalanced, like very, like, off balance, I should say. Not imbalanced in a meta sense, but imbalanced in a sense of, like, that's not the player, like, that's like a very one-note type of play. But you need to have those kinds of things in your repertoire as a player, in your toolbox. I think it's good. In the same way that I think it's good that Shopdog has this, like, Eidolon style that not a lot of other Terrans do. Maybe not a lot of other Terrans know how to do. And so it leads to situations where he can have the advantage of playing it out a lot and knowing his own personal experience, but doing something unique that the other guys aren't going to have a lot of, rote history with, that they can immediately just know, okay, I see this, then I do that. If this, then that response. And so in a complicated way, I'm sort of saying that while Shopkeeper Dog's going Eidolon, while we have that star pad coming up for Newt, who is going to be doing some kind of Cyclops drop by the looks of it, both of these players are matching up in such a way that I really don't think we're going to see any really quick games. It would not surprise me if, the quickest game in this series is that Knife's Edge match. If every other game is, 15 plus minutes. Crisis Vector obviously went on for a little bit, but aside from that, we're 37 minutes in. It's game 2. We're only 5 minutes into game 2. Or, sorry, it's game 3. We're 5 minutes into that. So that's all you need to know about the math, right? I think every single one of these games is going to be fairly lengthy. I do recognize that Newt could go for some kind of killer one-base thing, but I feel like Shopdog won't punish it by counterattacking and ending the game immediately. He'll just hold it and then be ahead and maybe win in a macro game, 10 minutes later. That feels more so his style of how he wants to approach that sort of thing. He wants to just be an X's and O's, T's are crossed and I's are dotted type of player. By the way, did you know you're supposed to cross your T's, of course, but you're also supposed to dot your J's if they're lowercase. Just saying. No, not too many people talk about dotting the J. But do you know about your Wilson? For some reason, I associate Wilson with House. Is that the sidekick doctor? I think so, right? Because I also associate it with the ball, the Wilson ball in Castaway. And then I thought, well, why is my brain just thinking of House when I said Wilson? Because I was also thinking of Jay Wilson. And then that makes me think of a Scatumesk. Shout out to Scatumesk one time. Anyway, that's the end of the word association game for now, but maybe it'll come back later. Keep taking your notes. Oh, it's a big drop. So this is something that, this is kind of what I was talking about, but imagine if it happened at like 3 minutes or 4 minutes instead of right now. The Vultures could move across the map and kill all the Cyclops, but will they know to do that somehow? A lot of map coverage here for Shopdog. He's got mines in a lot of places, but none in position that will actually catch this drop. And I don't think he's going to push any further forward here. Some reinforcements coming out. Yeah, this is enough units to actually muscle back the pure Vulture. I think when he gets one mine stun like that, he's just going to start to fall away. The Ministry for base number 3 floating in. We've got Eidolons ready to accept the drop. Hold on. This might actually be kind of bad. Instead, he's going to try to drop on top of the Eidolons as he sees this come in. There's a Goliath with this drop. It's the Nicholas build all over again. The Eidolons are turning around. I don't think Shopkeeper Dog has actually recognized what's happening. His Covenant is going to be destroyed. This is the Covenant I give to all Cerebrits, or whatever the fuck Overmind said. Well, yeah, sorry, buddy. You just got killed by Cyclops. I guess you could say that about the Cyclops themselves. They are taking a lot of fatal damage. Friendly fire damage. The Matadors are out. And that should be a wrap-up, but that did a lot of damage. Mines are being sort of popped over here on the other side. Utter chaos and bedlam is setting in as Newt pushing across the map after his drop. I would call it successful just based on the fact that he killed the Covenant. That slows down the entire push that Shopdog was building towards. It makes his Eidolons an endangered species. Now here comes the friendly splash. You can see Newt cycling back. He didn't lay any mines to slow down Shopdog trying to save this third base. And his own third is not very far along. So if this army doesn't trade very favorably for Newt, we're going to be in a situation where Shopdog could conceivably push across the map. Now, as of right now, he wasn't really dogging the army, so we're going to get a lot of, stuns off this, and maybe that's going to be something that Shopdog thinks about. I'd love to see him send some Matadors or Vultures out on a little bit of a fact-finding mission across to top right. He's going to see the Trojans fly over the mines. That might, tip him off that he needs to go ahead and defend his airspace, but it doesn't look like he's doing so right now. He's got a Watchdog. That could help a little bit, but he's going to finish the Covenant. I think the drop is going to come back in. Yeah, absolutely. He's just going to target that Covenant again. That might actually break Shopkeeper's will. He's been remarkably resilient in game 1, but he didn't want to hack it at all in game 2. Matadors are on the rally going up to the top left, it looks like, so it will be some time before they really pop in here. The Trojans are going to be massed up together. The Ant Seal is also there. That will reveal where the mines are, and the Watchdog is only halfway done. What's Shopkeeper Dog going to do? He's going to pull his Masons initially, but that's not the target anyway. You're going to go after the add-ons here. Every Terran player knows that. Happily start blowing them up. Hey, we got some emergency detonation. Actually kills some units. Pretty hype, but it wasn't to be. Didn't end up wiping everything off. The scrapyard, if he can keep that alive, will still be good for tempo. Third base under attack, and we got nothing here to defend it. He's going to lift it and send the Masons to the natural. One mining base, and the Eidolons walking into death. They were after a Trojan instead of the Cyclops. Oh, that's a catastrophe. He will go ahead and clear that. The Ministry on 2 health, it burns! It burns alive and craters! It feels like Shopkeeper Dog has been dropped. The Newt factor. Living the Newt life. Oh my god, just dropped into utter poverty. Newt up 13 workers, up an extra base. The Ant Seal flying in just to see what's going on. It will be brought down too close to the sun. 19 Cyclops and many more where that came from. Matadors can still help turn the tide. I mean, Shopdog could trade pretty cost efficiently. He's going to remake his base on location, which is risky as all hell. The Trojans did go down. That was a factor we were missing last time around. We do have one more Trojan here. And it looks like we also have Newt having a moment. Let's see if he reconnects. No, he does not reconnect. All right, stand by. Ladies and gentlemen, Pernigo is making some very interesting choices. Controversial admin decision. Even though it looked like Newt's game banged to rights in a variety of ways, I can't, in good conscience, close it out after seeing Crisis Vector and the comeback therein. Now, I know Shopdog didn't have a Palladium yet. He lost his Covenant twice. He didn't have a third base running, but he had a bank. He had enough Vespine to remake the Covenant if that's what he wanted to do. And he did have more set up, drop defense, and he had a reasonable amount of units to hold any ground push. So in TVT, the games can go on, and even though it looks unlikely, I challenge you to pause Crisis Vector at some point and tell me that doesn't look like if the game broke at that point, you wouldn't call it for Newt there, and look what happened. So, unfortunately, for Newt's sake, and for all our sakes, we will not be finishing that version of Patadia. I do want to leave it in for posterity's sake, but I will leave a timestamp indicating that Newt crashed. Not crashed out. That's not what he did, okay? Be nice to him. He's been very gracious. He said, yeah, let's just remake. And that's what we're doing, because I can't call it in good conscience after what Crisis Vector did to us. If Shopdog didn't do that comeback, I probably would have called it for Newt. We would have been going on to game 4. But you know what? Not yet. Not yet. Frosted Forest looms in the distance. Newt is now our Vivid Red. Terran in the bottom right, and Shopdog in the top left. Our Dark Spring Green? No, Forest Green in the top left. I knew it wasn't Dark Green regular, so I took a chance. Speaking of taking a chance, it's a little bit of a chance here whether or not Newt will go back to the same style. In some ways, I would respect that massively. If he just decided, screw it, I'm going to do the same exact thing and see if you can handle it. But Shopdog did not handle it very well that first go around, but that was just a dress rehearsal. This is the real thing now. Once more with feeling. Newt gonna hang back and make sure there's no spies loose inside his base, as the second fulcrum is going to come online any moment now. Newt's own Mason will not be able to get any scouting either, so we will be seeing the full wipe there. Terran players, I think, at least this is something I first noticed with Shopkeeper Dog. I don't know who came up with it, but it's become more meta, more in vogue to just stash your Mason somewhere around like a third base. You're looking mostly for drops, if drops are going to go down that way. And so like on this map in particular, you can kind of just hug over here and see if you can catch any drops moving that way. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Obviously, it's a little bit more commonplace on other maps. Now, Newt does end up dropping the first couple Vulture connections here, and there are 2 Vultures, or 4 Vultures, in fact, for Shopdog. So the fact that he's not pouncing on this is very telling. He's going to go ahead and put down his Ministry. And you can see Newt still just poking around. I think as soon as he catches wind of how many Vultures are on the other side, he's going to need to respect that a little bit more. But he's up to 5 as soon as the 3 end up getting any further forward. Well, that's an easy pick. And another one. Well, it only goes for the slow. So now we're trading 4 to 4. 2 more Vultures going to finish soon for Shopdog. Good catch on Newt. He's picking the mines quite well. That last one, not quite. And it's going to be really hard for a Vulture in particular to kill the lobotomy mine. Feels a lot harder than you would think, because the projectile has a travel time and the Vulture has a skating forward sort of motion. You can see Newt's trying to make it happen, but he ends up just taking a salvo. Curiously enough, 6 Vultures, 1 shot, 1 Vulture. So that's, there you go. That's kind of interesting. Bet she didn't know that. Newt not immediately jumping on the opportunity to pick one of his enemy's Vultures, so they're going to opt forward with a trade. I'm not liking this for Newt, but he does have some reinforcements coming in, and the spread of damage isn't so great here for Shopdog, so it should be a fine enough initial trade. The Cyclops coming in are going to confirm it for Shopdog, and looks like it will be held. 6 Vultures versus, 5 and the Cyclops. Ministry is obviously going to finish in pretty good time for both players here, and we're going to start to see that stockade come online. 2 stockades here for Shopdog, indicating he is very much going for the Eidolon push. I still am thinking a little bit about what Shopkeeper Dog said about the Shambler and his TVT style. Bringing on the influx of Cyclops spammers worldwide. I don't know. Is he that much of a trendsetter? Is that really happening in TVT a lot? Maybe. It's possible. That's 1 Vulture for 4 mines. Pretty good deal. At least he'll be snapped on the way out. We got more Cyclops here. Some Vultures coming down. Newt shouldn't be in any danger now, but Shopdog does find himself in the unfamiliar territory of having map control, and this is where the Covenant can really feel oppressive. It's not just that you get your Eidolons out, and then you make this ridiculous comeback with Eidolon Phalanx Matador pushing into all sorts of places when your opponent has tier 2. It's more like you have access to, these invisible units that can take map control when they're not being challenged, and your opponent is not able to slow their advance and maybe pick them apart as they move across the map. It will be a Palladium first, no scrapyard business for Newt. He's not taking any junk and selling it for a little extra cash on the side. No chop shop necessary. You can see he's actually prioritizing the mineral harvest, whereas obviously Shopdog needs that Vespene a little bit more. And the 3rd Ministry does come down pretty quick. I wonder if this isn't too much greed. It's clearly calculated. Shopdog has stuck to this kind of game plan all matches so far. Going for, well, second game was different, but in all Eidolon matches so far, since we did have a first go-around on this very map, it does feel like Shopdog has decided, okay, I can get away with going Covenant, going Scrapyard, going third base, and there isn't really much window for punish. Now, there's Vulture Cyclops moving across the map, but Vulture Cyclops is back here, ready to go, and the Covenant is done, so Eidolons are going to start trickling through. I'd feel a little bit safer, maybe, if there had been, like, 1 round of Hurricanes or something to stand in front of this. Like 2 Hurricanes during the construction time of the Covenant, maybe. The Cyclops are going to absolutely shellac the Vultures here. You can see Shopdog trying to get on top of them so that there's a little bit of friendly splash. Does end up claiming the lives of 2. But the Masons need to get out of dodge, dude. The Masons need to evacuate. The Eidolons will now start ranging them down. But Newt knows what's up with that. A Goliath here to try to stand tall. The focus fire needs to be there for Newt. He's just going to try to bring down the Goliath while the Eidolons are setting up their shots. Oh, he does end up finishing off a couple of them because they were low HP. But it looks like that'll be it. This will be held. It's just at the cost of all of the initial rounds of Eidolons. And, you know, suddenly we don't have nearly as much tempo for Shopdog, although he does have a third base nearly complete. And most of the Masons, well, it looks like 3 or 4 Masons ended up, you know, getting claimed by the push, but everything else is just fine. You can see Newt actually trying to come on in and pick a couple more in the process. Just being as annoying as he can be. Hey, Shopdog did say that his favorite color to build Matadors with is green because they look like Santa, you know, Santa's Matadors. On location, third base, we got more units rallying across the map. Not to reinforce the push as it is over, but ant seals are starting to filter in. Obviously for detection and for other things as well. Matador Eidolon right now. Or some Hurricanes filtering in while the gas gets built back up off that second base. And we will see a 4th Fulcrum. Here comes the push. The Matador's not quite in position. Phalanxes are here. They are going to be going after the Matadors at first. That's a big mistake, actually. Definitely needed to focus down those Eidolons if you could, and you had the ant seal for detection. So it's not a question of if. Pop it goes. First 2 Phalanxes. In the same way that losing the first round of Eidolons is bad, it feels like losing the first round of Phalanxes is also kind of bad. A little softened up there by the Cyclops. Fulcrum number 5 added on. Just needs more Matadors, just needs more Blackjacks maybe if he's looking for that mineral spend. I feel like adding more Stockades wouldn't suck here, but I guess you don't want the Hurricanes right now, you just want Matadors. The Hurricanes are a necessary evil, it would seem. And this is looking like a pretty good start here. Stunning 1, but the ant seal comes in for the rest, and so it's a little bit too difficult there for the Phalanxes to shellac from a distance. All the ant seals are trying to protect them, but it's not going to work out in that way that you want. They were too busy aggroed onto a target they couldn't hit. The vultures are going to get cleaned up on the other side, maybe? No, 2 of them do end up living at low HP. Burning alive there. The biker is not happy with his fate. Newt going to transfer his workers over to the third base. Last lobotomy mine on the other side of the map, at least in the third, is cleared. And Potty as a map, it's very difficult to hold your third base. There's so many angles that you can be pushed in. Scrapyard now coming online for the 6 Fulk Newt. And the Star Pad is continuing to churn out ant seals, which have not actually been, you know, killed too much, right? We don't see too many, you know, there's 1 ant seal corpse here, but like, I think that's the only wreckage of an ant seal that we see in the whole map right now. Vultures, a round of vultures. Anybody want some vultures? Hurricanes coming out as well. I'm sure he just kind of alternates based on what he needs. You know, his fulcrum capacity is limited. He needs some more lobotomy mines for map control so that stuff like this doesn't happen so easily. But the army is in a good enough position to try to help out a little bit. So 1 vulture goes down, but it's not the end of the world. It looks like base number 4 is getting ready to be taken by Newt. Or, you know, you can rearrange that set of words in a sentence that makes sense. Because I don't think a base is like, oh yeah, take me, Newt, take me. I don't think that's happening, but maybe that is what's going on. He is called to press the build ministry button. Second star pad. I don't think that's just for ant seals, but it could be. Shambler does two pad ant seals sometimes. Maybe Shambler's treating Newt to all of the tactics. Doesn't look like he wanted to try his drop style. I really thought that was working out for him. Obviously, was leaning towards calling it for him in that first go around. There's really no way to make things happy in a situation like that, and I'm aware. Of course, the best bet is to just make it so that the game doesn't do that, because it wasn't a desync. It was actually a game crash. Though is a tile set issue? Question mark. We'll investigate. If Newt loses this game, then at least his sacrifice will not have been in vain, for the game will become more stable for his loss. Goliath's on the way for Newt. He's also capping the ridges inside his main and natural. Bit of an impasse right now between the two players. Base number 4 being taken by Shopdog. Not willing to give up the ghost just yet. Nor the Eidolon, for that matter. Mines are really, really important here for giving little warning shots for Newt, and that's a pretty big stun off to the side, but the ant seals are going to get shellacked here in a moment by the Valks. If they dare to tread any closer, Vulture Matador frontline is getting broken down. Remember, the Phalanxes aren't even really deployed right now. Oh, all those Ant Seals are so close to being destroyed. The Valkyries lost a little bit of focus. Phalanxes from Shopdog not actually deploying. Hold on. We've got Valkyries on Newt's side to wipe that out as well, and that fight did not go Shopdog's way at all. He's lost almost all of his military units there on the front line. He's got Phalanx and Blackjack back at home, but most of his Eidolons are dead. Looking now for a fourth base. He doesn't even know about 4 o'clock yet. The Valkyries to counter the Valkyries. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that at all? Tier 2 now on the way for Newt. He's happy to hit the keys and slam it down. Looking favored once again on Padilla. Sun Mason's going to be transferring over as the Ministry is going to go ahead and land at the 1 o'clock position for the fourth base. So they're taking asymmetric bases from each other now, but no defenses and no early warning system. This is a key weakness here from Shopdog, leaving his third bases unattended. We saw how long it took him to handle a crisis vector as a result. And his own tier 2 has begun. He is not in a position of power any longer. The Phalanxes announced themselves, and the Masons are going to need to evacuate. So they do. Ministry lifts off. Now going to be aggroed by the Valkyries. That's probably a blessing in disguise, actually. That's one of the reasons why he went for double pad, by the way, so he could produce a couple of Valks in quick order. Unfortunately, I mean, all those Ant Seals stacked up together are keeping this one Phalanx alive. Unbelievable. He just can't pierce that veil. So he's got to set up a little bit of a no-go zone, but in the process, he's going to end up losing all of the production he had going. Look at these Ant Seals, dude. Oh, well, they ended up abandoning the 1 HP tank, but that's okay. They did their job, I think. So another Ministry is under construction. Maybe it'll hit the top right pretty soon. We've got a couple of Mavericks in. Sexy Mavericks. Love to see it, but they're going to get cleaned up by the Mecha on this side. Still has no idea about 4 o'clock, by the way. And now it looks like 7 o'clock and the bottom left are being taken by Newt at the same time, more or less. Captaincy's on the way for him. He's going to go into Tier 2 bio. I don't think Shopdog has a chance in hell in this game, boys. Tier 2 will finish. Can he set up enough of a defensive line that he won't just get overwhelmed on multiple other fronts? He's going to try to defend the upper right quadrant of the map. Masons are being rallied into Phalanx shot range. You can't make that up. Masons end up evacuating from the third, or I guess the fourth base that's turned into the third now. It looks like that will just be a short-lived attack. The Ministry has to go over to the top right where another one is being made. Ambitious and audacious. Shopkeeper Dog certainly was optimistic about being able to take all those bases. He's not able to counter anything Newt's doing on the other side. He got these 2 extra Fulcrums residual. The Captaincies haven't even really made anything yet, to my knowledge. He's going to add some Madcaps. The Valkyrie adding insult to injury down there. We will have those Ant Seals cleared finally. So that's pretty good. You know, the Eidolons can step forward now and force the Phalanxes to unsiege, so they do. Here comes the engagement on the 1 o'clock, though. Pretty deep Phalanx line, but most of them not deployed is maybe going to be a problem here for Shopdog. He needs to get those Phalanxes in working order. As this base starts to get pummeled and the worker count, this is 33 plus workers over here. Newt is up by so many on top of it. He's already up by 60 workers, guys. It could get very, very high indeed, but it looks like that'll be it. The Phalanx is stepping forward to see what they can do to that Ministry. Looks like the answer is a little bit of damage and not much else, but this one is under duress. Top right, and the one that's been floating over in waylaid at the 3 o'clock position is obviously not contributing to the economy in any way. We have a starport on the way for Shopdog. He's got his Tinkerer's Tower coming with the Captaincies. He's made his own double pad to go for air superiority on the Valkyries. He's trying to reestablish that third base. Tier 3! Newt wants to go for some style points. Says, buddy, I can beat you on Padilla twice. And this is how I'm going to do it. Well, the Ant Seal will reveal that indeed the Valkyries are still there, and down it goes. Those Valkyries can find a little bit more value off to defending the 1 o'clock if they want to go clear the skies of enemy Ant Seals. Striga's on the way. We got the Madcaps out. Love to see some Tensenders, extra Fulcrums coming online. By the way, I'm not going to say that watching the series between Shambler and Shopdog, where a Tensender was made, twice actually, I'm not going to tell you guys that I buffed the Tensender HP because I saw it in that series. Woohoo! Holy moly! But I am going to tell you that I buffed the Tensender HP cost because I saw it, and it wasn't as good as it could be. Ministry is going down here, 100%, and a lot of the Masons go down as well. Still 30 remaining, so goes to show you just how many were sat there waiting for a job to open up in another department. As it turns out, those other departments are unlikely to kick in. A facade has been made. He's just flexing now. His Daedal is almost complete. So, too, is his victory on Patadia, and he will go into qualification point once he gets it over the hump. But Shopkeeper just refusing to abate so far. He is mining from 2 bases. And I'm sure by now the main is depleted. Indeed, just about. So, he is mining from essentially 1.5 bases. There's so much on the line here. And so much more coming online for Newt. These guys weren't even harvesting. We have a little bit of lag as well, but that's okay. The game is playing live. You know what it is. You know how it goes sometimes. Get that intermittent networking trouble. Might as well come at a chill time when we're just waiting for Shopkeeper to face the music. He's got some pretty reasonable phalanx positioning from a defensive standpoint, but he really needs to retake these bases. And he just can't break this position. He just can't break that position. So instead, he throws caution to the wind, calls him out, and says, I'm going to push in. And maybe he'll just see the facade and GG. I don't know, actually. What do you guys reckon he's going to do? It didn't even get a chance to activate its ability. Come on! Ah, bully. It makes things cloak around it. Pretty nifty. It's like proximity cloak. He's going to blow up some of this production at the very least, revealing the tier 2 for his opponent as the Strigas try to stray their way in. Valkyries will clear out all of those pesky Anseals. The Phalanxes were deployed behind this, and they are going to get swarmed by just about everything. There's so many of them. There are so many Phalanxes here, but maybe there won't be for much longer. They're trying to clear everything on the ground. We got some Cyclops and Goliaths, some Mad Cats. He's pulling away from the big blob, and it looks like the 3rd base of Newt will be taken out. But again, there is no 3rd mining base here for Shopkeeper. Well, Newt has taken the 4 o'clock, the bottom left 2 bases, and of course he has a ministry under construction, slightly off center, slightly askew at the 8 o'clock position. His rally point's right over here. The Phalanxes will deploy. This should be very costly for Shopkeeper to pop into, but he can get some pretty meaty, chunky salvos. Only problem is Strigas on multiple sides kind of sending each other for a bounce, and they'll be cleaned up as well as the rest of the units come on in. Shopkeeper doesn't have anything else at this point. He still can't land, even despite his attempts with the Gorgons. The Strigas are rending his armor and nuking what little he has left. He just wants to mine. He just wants to harvest resources, but there's nothing left for him to get. Soon, the last of his front line will be collapsing. GG. Newt is 1 game away from qualifying. Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for more Cosmonarchy, for at least 1 more map between Newt and Shopkeeper Dog. We have that Fulcrum coming for Newt, and we have that Fulcrum coming for Shopkeeper Dog, so absolutely no surprises there. It is going to be mech all the way through. It looks to me like we are a Delft Blue, Dark Sapphire Terran. I guess Delft Blue is a little bit darker. And Shopkeeper Dog in the bottom left is the Dark Green Terran. This is Newt's map pick. He's won on Patadia, some would argue twice. Oh yeah, that was the other thing I was going to mention. My controversial choice to admin it out as we need a replay is... that's controversial enough. My controversial choice as a caster and YouTuber, if you will, to keep the original take of the game in the video so you guys can all see it. That was my other controversial choice. I didn't really say that, so that probably sounded really weird when I was like, I'm making decisions that are controversial. You're like, well, okay, what was the decision number 2 to make it plural? Sort of like how Riot Games was called Riot Games when they had League of Legends and nothing else. Yeah. Yeah, so that's me. I'm Riot Games now. JK. I have more ethics than that. No loot boxes in Cosmonarchy, damn it. It's been a journey to cast all of the Tribunal stage matches. I have very greatly, deeply enjoyed it. However, this one is definitely going to be important in the long run of it, right? Because Shopkeeper Dog, he wants that relaxed sort of, I'm going to try practicing against the Escozi, I'm already qualified, doesn't matter if I win or lose kind of vibe. He wants to qualify with this spot. He wants to just give it a go here. And Newt is, like, if he rocks up and he wins the Tribunal and qualifies in, like, at what point do we start thinking, holy moly, this guy walked up, he's in weekend wage finals, he's winning weekend wage finals, he just hasn't played that much, he's just hanging out and vibing out, and he's able to hang with some of our best. Shopkeeper Dog, absolutely some of our best. Pretty consequential for rankings as well. You know, I update those on the Wednesdays. And so I'm looking forward to the ranking update this week, but it will be, by the time you guys see this, it'll already have passed. So don't check the rankings. Not that I can time travel tell you guys that, but if you see Newt rising a lot of positions, it might just be because, you know, he's winning weekend wages and he's, you know, taking games off of good players and stuff. But it might have also been because he managed to defeat Shopkeeper Dog here. This is a little bit more on the committed opener side. He'll be delaying his ministry quite a bit. And the Vultures are already scrambling over, not because they saw it, but because Shopkeeper Dog knows this is the way. You play anti-drop in the early game, you lay your minefield out so that you've got perfect vision of anybody trying to poke through the front gate, and you can just stall them out long enough. Second anchor. Man alive. He's going to throw some Cyclops in there, it looks like. Rest of the units will probably be hitting the main base, like the front gates. I suppose through the natural then. Some Cyclops are coming up here for Shopdog. I mean, when you see the Vultures already waiting for you, what do you even do in that situation? Oh, he's just going to land there anyway. Okay, all right. Now, what Shopdog probably wanted to do is deny the second anchor while, you know, dealing damage to the one that was already under duress, right? Because you really want to just make it so that you can't allow the elevator forward. And if you just sit underneath the anchor as it's there, that's a pretty good way to do it. Now, this one should be pretty hard to actually get off. I feel like this one's already a wrap. And the Cyclops just right-click onto the anchor. That's the right choice here. We do have some attacking coming in from Newt on the front gates. Oh, hold on. Shopkeeper Dog is kind of like abated for just a moment. The unload at the last moment with a burning anchor is pretty big. Some Masons going down. Remember that there's double ministry here. Doesn't really matter if Shopdog, ends up at like 15, Masons or whatever. That anchor is going to fall. You can see the Cyclops being microed and stutter stepped on multiple fronts here, but Shopdog should have enough. And he hasn't really taken that much damage. You know, he's already back up to the same level. Ooh, and the fadeaway hit could actually be somewhat consequential. It doesn't look like it will be. He will be able to get his units out of there, Newt. So we are back down into a tough situation for him. He didn't really do enough damage to make it so that wasn't somewhat costly. But he's not that far materially behind. It's just more the psychological edge that you get when you know you got ahead from some kind of cheeky tactic. And because it was kind of held okay, Shopdog really shouldn't feel like he's too far behind. He knows that he's got the pacing advantage on his ministry. Oh, good pullback. Good boy, Shopkeeper Dog. All right, ministry is on the way. Looking for that fast third base for Newt. It's a little risky if Shopdog does, decide to get a little territorial here. Target down the sort of 12 o'clock, you can call it there, the third base on the low ground. Nothing too special about this one. It's not like Crisis Vector. It is off-center placed by Newt, but, compared to this one, it's really just location, location, location. Starting to set up a little bit of a containment. There is no way he is going to think about, there being a third base out already. He's going to try to see what he can do on the lobotomy mine front, but he's cleared basically everything. There's one more being placed there. Cyclops delayed damage will take care of that. Remember that one-sided fight on Patadia, the second try around, the one that counted, where the Cyclops were really heavily dueling all the Vultures, and then all of a sudden all of the Vultures died at once? That's what we're worried about here on Newt's side now. He's a little under strength on his military, and the choke point is kind of favoring Shopkeeper from stepping forward because the whole army here for Newt is clumped. He's doing impeccable micro work right now. It cannot be overstated how good Shopkeeper Dog's micro has been in this exchange because Newt just can't micro back to the same degree. He's got units of variable move speeds. They're clumped up into more of a ball. They're taking all of this splash damage. Shopdog is really angling for it. This is with like less of an army than Newt in terms of the exact position. But now he's going to just monocomp the Cyclops across the map. He's on 4 Falk production. He can go ahead and set the rally across at this point if he wants to. And this ministry will start to harvest a little bit. Oh, for a second I thought Shopdog would just go and see it. He's baited back forward because of the lobotomy mines. Ooh, that's kind of a big catch. Vulture does go down, but when you're clumped up there, you cannot escape all of the splash damage. Some reinforcements will make it a little bit awkward for Newt to chase. But yeah, he's still just trying to setting up shop here. And, you know, if Dog was able to get like one round of vultures out and then lay mines over here, he could actually go and threaten the space. But instead, it's going to be the vultures to kind of take the initial volley of shots. But look, the Cyclops are just following them in, and then they walk into that damage. Now, that was one rare case where Shopdog did actually just kind of hang around for a little bit too long. He's got his own Trojan on the way. His star pad is on the way, or it's finished, rather. Another vulture offered up to the Cyclops gods. He's going to go ahead and load up those Cyclops. He will be dropping the main base with them, and that is going to force Newt into a very awkward position here as he micros backwards. Does he get a whiff of that those Masons? It does look like it. It looks like he caught the whiff, and now he's just going to go ahead and start pressuring that. He doesn't know it, but the military is so wounded right now that Newt really almost just lost his entire military in that one position, and that's very awkward there. So the consistent damage output here from those Cyclops, it should be enough to get this ministry into pretty worrisome states. Obviously, the drop is going to go ahead and get airlifted out. You can see the ant seal from Shopdog here to help out as well. But look at how squishy all of these Cyclops are. Most of them are very, very red. He unloads right directly in front of the vultures and ends up losing a Cyclops for it, but Shopdog is totally fine, pinching some of the military away and keeping the pressure on. His own third base on the way after shutting down Newt's attempted rush. And he's up by 5 workers after that early game. We're about to cross the 9-minute threshold, and we might not even get past 10. Newt needs to find some stability here. He needs to find some way to hold on. I don't think Anchor, at least in that position, is going to be much of the way. Trojan with a couple Cyclops. It should end up getting smoked by the Cyclops splash damage, and indeed it does. But in that time, the Anchor has fallen. Not canceled, not that it matters much. We got Cyclops pushing forward. Of course, I could say that at any point in this series probably, and it would be true, but it is true right now, and Newt is under the pump. If we go to Game 5, it's really anybody's series, and it does look like Shopdog is going to muscle through. Does he have enough to handle all the splash damage? He needs to go back to that stutter stepping he was doing. He dives in, forces his opponent to awkwardly micro around a constrained space, and then dives back out. Newt's landed his ministry. He's not using it to produce. It's not a part of the control group or whatever he's using for the macro purposes. More and more Cyclops arriving. That third base is done for Shopdog. He himself not using it for anything right now, and not using the workers at his natural. So still some struggle, some stuff. He's adding the scrapyard. He wants to go Matador here. Eesh. It's a very awkward situation on both sides, right? You don't want this spot to be where you end up dropping either the series in Shopdog's case, or of course your first chance at qualifying, your first qualification point, and that's a humongous fight for Newt as the initial shots all come up on the blue side, shall we say. The sapphire side. Our dark green Terran still fighting for some supremacy over this area. It's hard to tell, but this is a bit of a hill, right? So this is high ground, this is low ground. There's a lot of jousting over here with the military units. Man, when he went to go attack the ministry, it might have been the right choice after all, but I still think he could have just popped so many Cyclops had he recognized, had he just done a quick click on a couple of those units. Third base going to go ahead and land. Same cross position of where Newt's was, and we will see an immediate counterattack. I like this amount of vigor that Newt has, this awareness that he knows that he can cheat away 4 Cyclops. It's not going to be the end of the world, but it could be, honestly. Like, he might need all hands on deck as the Matadors are going to start to pop in. Newt is going for Palladium instead. He's added so many extra Fulcrums. He is going to be on lockdown here for a little bit, and the Cyclops are guarding 6 o'clock. There's nothing actually active over here yet for mining, and as he comes in for that, he's going to hope that it destabilizes Shopkeeper Dog's push, if it even happens at the right time. The Ant Seal's protecting. The Matador is going to come on in initially, and they are going to buy so much space, so much time for the rest of the Cyclops from Shopdog to take over this territory. The Vultures are going to get nothing done. The Cyclops on the other side are wreaking havoc in the third, but immediately now Shopdog pivots over to start heckling the ministry over here. Masons trying to defend themselves with their bodies, basically throwing themselves, dying at the Cyclops to try to kill them. Now we got a burning ministry once again, and these Cyclops still at large. The rally of Matadors will clean them up, and another containment sort of set up over here. If the Matadors can get deep enough in, this will not matter. It will not matter at all. Let's see. Those Matadors are kind of getting chunked on the approach. Some of them were slowed from the lobotomy mines, but they've surrounded the Cyclops, and that's it for them. We got more reinforcements coming. 6 Phalanx just started. That's all Newt has. GG. We go to game 5. Ladies and gentlemen, it is game 5. Shopkeeper Dog in the top right, our dark green Terran once again. Newt in the bottom left, Ultramarine this time. Battle Spectre is a forced cross-spawn map. You always are cross-spawn, but there are 2 different configurations, or technically 4, because, you know, Newt could have been the top right. Let me just tell you, Newt is dialed in. Newt is locked in. He is serious, full serious mode. Shopdog came into the lobby, and he was talking that smack the way that Shopdog does, where he tries to do, like, psychological shit, like making jokes. Are you kidding me? You making jokes at a time like this? Do you know how serious this is? He just walked up and he said, can we split the quali? Like, we just take turns between Acropolis matches? Which is, you know, Newt Keeper Dog or something, Shopkeeper Newt. I don't know what you would call that. But that's a funny idea. That's a funny idea. Alternating. Tag me in. Here's the thing. Instead of, like, doing anything in response to that, Newt just said, R, as in ready. And normally he does his GLGL. This time he just did a GL. There's only one. I don't know. There's, like, little things like that that make me think. And also, Newt doesn't know this is forced cross-spawn, so that's already kind of dire. But it might not be too bad. Let's find out. Shopdog will be scouting. I mean, also, the other worst thing about this is you don't know this is forced cross-spawn because you haven't played on this map too much or whatever. Shopdog is going to move over here, right? And he's going to come in, and he's going to hit him with the ramp scout. And then Newt's going to be like, oh, he's close to me. And what if he just end scouts here? If he box scouts, it's fine. It's not really that big of a deal, right? But if he box scouts here, that's fine. If he end scouts, it's like, yeah, he couldn't have scouted me so fast from a cross position. There's no way he wouldn't know. Oh, what a bully. Just trying to slow down his minerals a little bit. You need to do a lot of hits on the Vulture for it to matter for other Vultures. But Cyclops is 10 HP. 10 damage, rather. So if Cyclops were 10 HP, they'd be a lot easier to use to fight against, I guess. But Cyclops have 10 damage baseline. So it is 1 less hit scan attack. Newt looking for a very fast expansion here off of the 2 Falk. He's actually just making 1 Vulture. No, 2 Vultures. So that's pretty greedy. And I think that's a great call versus Shopdog. Like, Shopdog has not really been aggressive, with the exception of that last game. And if you recognize that as an anomaly, then you recognize that this is an opportunity for you to start downloading your opponent. Build that ministry. I'm kind of torn, guys. Like, unless one of the players really underperforms, or one of them is so superlative in this final game, I kind of see what Shopdog was getting at, or at least I'm coming at it from a different perspective maybe, but these guys are both Acropolis level players, Battlements level players. You know, Throne Room level players probably. Let's be real. You got a top 12 you're talking about for Throne Room. So, yeah, they are among the 12 best players we have, and I don't think that's going to change, you know, come qualification series or season. But damn, son, this is a really good series. This is a really good TVT series. I'm glad I kept that Patadia game in. But yeah, really good. Really cool. I'm glad about that. So I do want to just also point out that with this ministry coming on a little bit faster, it is just the difference of 1 Mason. But it just tells me a lot about the adaptation here. I love to see Newt adapting in that way. He's also keeping his Vultures in the main base in the same way that Shopdog was to him. He's learning. I know maybe he was doing that before anyway, but you know, after the way that the last game went, that makes sense to some degree. We have the 3rd Fulcrum pretty quickly here for Shopdog. Doesn't really telegraph his plans just yet, but he has been doing like 2 Fulc, 2 Stockade in the past. So if he does go idle on it, will be a little bit delayed. And we'll see if he wants to do it. I mean, he's going for that Vespine gas, so it kind of leans towards that in a way. But you can still do that and be going Palladium. And I also wanted to call out Shopkeeper Dog here. Do your Eidolon thing. That's what I want to see. I want to see 2 Stockades be put down in short order, get that Covenant add-on up, and see what happens there. But he's going to go Fulcrum instead. So this isn't the Eidolon thing. And I think this is something that Shopkeeper Dog has about him. He does it even when he believes that his strategy has some legs. If he doesn't think it's going to lead to the immediate win, and listen, there's some wisdom in this, he won't do it. He doesn't have that self-belief. He's switched into Cyclops spammer. He's Shambler now. Shamblekeeper Dog. Shopkeeper Shambler. That's not... You don't want to live to see yourself become the Shambler. That's a horrible idea. Shambler's not even in this series catching strays, but whatever. It's funny. So, but it's true. Like, Shopkeeper is playing more like a Shambler style so far. Oh, yeah, the Scrapyard comes out. I guess that's going to be like Matador Cyclops again. It might lead to the win, you know? I'm not going to discount it in terms of a qualification. But I respect Shopkeeper as a man enough to tell him to do his Eidolon thing. Show us what's up. Show us what we're missing. Show us the rest. Show the meta. Show the rest of the players what's going on, you know? But I get it. You can't necessarily innovate versus the Cyclops Matador spam in the middle of a series. That can be difficult. And it does seem to stylistically frustrate the approach of the Eidolon spam. So if it's not going to be that, then it's going to be something else. We'll find out. Starpad is on the way. We will have that set up here pretty soon. For both players, in fact, it will be Anseal time. I'm looking forward to who makes the second Starpad first. I also really like that Shopdog was the one to make a Wraith before Newt. Newt loves Wraiths, dude. Newt loves air units, air stats. He's just so happy about Wraiths existing. Maybe not in the sense that he thinks that they're underpowered, right? He's like, no, they're too weak. They should ignore splash damage or something. And, you know, like, I get it. He wants his favorite unit to be epic, you know? I actually think he filled out the favorite unit card in one of the signups or whatever as like Wraith with an unsmiley sad face or something. So anyway, it's just cute that Shopdog was the one to make Wraiths first, and it was on the Crisis Vector game, so it was pretty good. It was game 1. Last time, the next time we saw a Wraith, it was Newt's, but you know. All right, this attack is looking kind of good for Newt initially. The Matadors are going to maybe be able to make a difference here. The Cyclops are getting absolutely shellacked on both sides, from different sources, of course, and it does look like this Phalanx push is going to be at least slowed, frustrated across the middle of the map. Remember, that's a lot more resources worth for Newt with the Phalanxes intact, and pretty much the Cyclops are reduced to, you know, whatever's reinforcing across the map. Now, what happened to the Anseal for Shopdog? Maybe it ended up going down? No, well, there's another one just came out of the Starpad, so looks like maybe on that front, yeah, we actually have 2 Anseals here for Newt. So for the Anseal, I should have explained this a lot sooner in case people were watching this without familiarity, but the Anseal has this bubble around it. Any damage dealt to an ally within that bubble is instead dealt to the shields, and it does include splash damage, which is one of the reasons why splash is so effective versus the Anseal. Valkyries kill like 4 Anseals or whatever faster than they kill 1 Anseal because they're absorbing so much more splash damage versus that. Now, this is a bad rally or a bad retreat path here for Newt. He is getting shellacked on the way out. His Phalanx is very wounded. It looks like that'll be the line in the sand drawn by Shopdog. He's got 4 more Phalanx up here. You know, it's not too bad. And the response to this sort of Phalanx encroachment with, by the way, there's a Vulture and a Cyclops and all the likely third base locations here for Shopdog. The response to that sort of embankment that Newt is setting up is to go for tier 2 very quickly. Whereas Newt is going for that third base, which is a little bit more what we would have expected. In some ways, what I would have expected from Shopdog, but he's been in situations a lot. I guess his third base is already done. He's been in a lot of situations so far in this series, Patadia comes to mind in particular, where he just can't get his third base mining. Crisis Vector also had this problem quite a bit. He still eventually came back from that, and, you know, lucky for it, he would have been out already. Would have been a wrap. In fact, it would have been a 3-0 if you think about it. So it's really, really important for Shopdog that he clinched out that first game. Hasn't yet cleared out 12 o'clock. It will at some point, I'm sure. It's also a very low HP Cyclops, so if he clicks that, he might just right-click the Mason onto it and kill it that way. Phalanx will take a couple of shots. This should be a clear. This should be an easy clear for Shopdog. In fact, not really that many losses. The initial salvo was the most dangerous, it seems. So the Vultures will start to fall away. We do have some mines idling in the middle of the map. And Shopdog just needs to be somewhat cautious. His Anseal should reveal where the Phalanxes are, and he needs to cycle back from there. Base number 4 on the way for our dog. Our hound. Sometimes I look at my own dog and I say, hello, hound. Oh! Yeah, that's about what I expected. Suicidal Anseal ends up taking out a couple of Cyclops in the process. All right, so the mines are done. This is the last little bit of presence on the other side of the map for Newt. Shopdog does have a sort of habit, a pattern, if you will, not really having any presence on the other side. He's not slowing down any of these bases. He's not sending a couple of units to park in any position. He's just kind of focusing on his own sphere, his own sector of the map. I was going to say Spectre. I was thinking I was like picking a Vector and Sector at the same time. So as these units get recalled, that's actually when the push comes in from Shopdog. This base will probably get canceled if Shopdog even goes for it. He probably doesn't even think about it right now, though, even though he's taking his own 4th base at 12 o'clock, and he will see that the Cyclops is going to be in the way. Well, not for long. But, you know, he's going to come in here and think, okay, yeah, you got your 3rd base set up at 6 o'clock. Even though he's taking his 4th at the same time, he doesn't think Newt's doing the same. Atlas halfway complete for Newt. So the tier 2 timing isn't fully operational here just yet. The Palladium is on, and we are getting a lot of those phalanxes coming out. 2nd captaincy coming. Scaling up the production over time makes some sense. I think gone are the days where players, you know, Top Ramen comes to mind for this. He was the victim of this a few times, where he would play, he would be going for some kind of tier 2 tech transition. He would make tier 2 the production structure, the add-ons on all production structures, back when you needed add-ons on all production structures, and then his units. And it's like, by then you're already dead, man. Speaking of already dead, not a lot of Matador coverage here for Shopdog. This push feels a little bit toothless as a result. He's going to cycle back without losing too much, trading down some Anseals, some Vultures on the side of Newt for some of his own Cyclops. So Shopdog's still feeling like he's, you know, moving along with Newt here. But that's actually base number 5. The 4th base down here already harvesting a little bit of Espene. Could be a little bit more, of course. What's Newt going to be developing into? Mantles again. He wants those Cataphracts. Cataphract Phalanx can be very powerful. The counter is not more Cataphract Phalanx from the other side, by the way. The counter is something Shopdog should be aware of, actually. It's going to be like, you know, Striga Matador or Durandal or air units dropping. Stuff like that. Go Pythian Durandal, something like that. The Starport can be pretty effective in these sorts of situations. We have the 1 mantle coming. We got the 3rd captaincy coming. So it looks like he just wants to set himself up for a little bit of Cataphract production. Mostly the Phalanx and captaincy stuff. And the Phalanxes down here, they're going to be under some duress. A couple of these will end up popping. Newt actually targeting the one in the back there, hoping that some of the splash damage helps take care of the one in the front. But the response from Shopdog is to just push in even harder. Goliath goes down, but it does soften up a lot of the Cyclops on the front. We don't have any Matadors. There's not really any front line here. The mech production has been pure Cyclops Phalanx. So this treasury will get shut down just as it was starting to harvest a little bit. And the Phalanxes are really isolating over here. You can see the range is such that if you take a step over here to try to defend yourself, you're going to get shellacked a little bit. So the Cyclops should be able to finish that treasury off unless Newt decides to pull away. He's still having Masons rally over there. He needs to correct that and start setting them over to the 4th base. So we're on even eco for both players. Newt is up by workers, and 5th base is started for Shopkeeper Dog. But despite the worker advantage, I don't think it's equating to as much economic advantage just yet. Although the treasury didn't go down, that was a wise save by Newt, he can reestablish that, and then the worker advantage will really start to matter. That's a 20 worker lead just about. Starpad number 2 coming on for Newt. He knows he needs those Valkyries to start filtering in, or he wants to just make Mass Anseal. Either way, give him some coverage to move in onto the Phalanx push. Nothing here. Okay, Vulture's going to come in. Nothing to defend this 3 o'clock. That's going to send Shopkeeper Dog into a little bit of a spiral here, as he is going to need to defend this. The siege will finish up. That's a pretty reasonable target for Vultures, by the way, but no Masons going down, surprisingly. The restock is pretty quick. We got Sentinels coming up. We got Cataphracts looming. There's 4 mantle production for them. Is Newt going to learn something about his approach? Because I really don't think the Cataphract was too convincing versus Phalanx Eidolon in game 1. Shopdog idling some Masons at 12 o'clock. Still no 5th actually secured, but the base is on the way. A Tensender is being assembled. We love those. It's not at 600 health yet, but it is on pre-release. So that's coming. That's cooking. Man, Solstice did such a good job with the Treasury model. Occasionally I like to just shout him out there. Let him know what's going on. We do have another Vulture raid earmarked for where this Tensender is being made. It's not quite done yet, so likely to be interrupted. Finally, some Masons will end up going down as a result. 1 Phalanx has come in to join the fray. Yeah, you can kind of stack up the Masons here. There's no splash damage from the Volts, so not really that big of a deal. And the Tensender will actually finish. You can just kind of stack some Madcaps over here. Now that it's done, maybe he just wants, you know, Cyclops in there or something instead. The most inefficient thing you can do is lift the Tensender and then load Siege Phalanx and land again, but I wouldn't recommend it. All right. Top left natural being taken now by Shopdog, transferring a lot of Masons over there, but that's where the army of Newt is heading. It looks like our 2 Terran players are setting up big Apostle Madcap Ball, and Shopdog is going to be kind of crossing paths here, like ships in the night. The army's moving past each other, and there's going to be, you know, potentially 2 bases to shut down here. On Shopdog's side, he's going to be forced with a decision as to whether or not to initiate a base trade, knowing he's got the Reclaimers online. Or does he want to try to crunch the army? If he wipes this whole army without losing too much, that could be pretty big. But the Mason count is pretty high, and it soon will not be. Some reinforcements kind of trailing as the army starts to come in, but Shopdog needs to really consider his position. Look at where the phalanxes are set up. How do you get up there? Are the reclaimers enough for it? That's the question. All the Masons have died. The Ministry may itself go down, but right now it's soaking up a lot of damage. It looks like the reclaimers are enough to push in and absorb a lot of the shots from the phalanx. More Strigas being come online. Yeah, it does feel like still a pretty good deal for Newt, who is now up by a monstrous 40-plus workers, and trying to besiege this position. A Cataphract can get into the Tensender at least. Yeah, there it is. I don't know if that is enough to reach here. Yeah, it probably is actually enough. Once this Cataphract goes down, we'll know for sure. Shopdog moving over here, but no, not quite. Just barely can't reach the Vulture inside the Tensender. I thought maybe it was pretty close. So. Bottom right taken by a treasury. Worker transfer from the bottom right natural. Now bottom right main belongs to Newt. And during that time, obviously, the Masons did end up arriving unmolested over to the top left, but it did slow things down quite a bit. More captaincies being assembled at 12. This one phalanx awkwardly parked here is now going to get boxed by a Mason. No reinforcements immediately able to just go ahead and send over to clean that up. Actually, instead, Shopdog will go ahead and reinforce the position, taking that phalanx with him. Ooh, 4 Ramses now out for Newt. I mean, not very mobile units, but pretty good at the general fire rate. You factor in some extra melee in the picture. Only 1 Anseal for Shopdog. He can't really push into these positions very well. A Starport coming online for him as well. The Reclaimers are going to try to reassemble those phalanxes. It's not great. The phalanx on the other side. Oh my god, there's so many. And this is a death trap over here for Shopkeeper Dog. He's trying his best to keep his phalanxes reanimating on the front lines. The Cataphracts are going to put out some consistent damage. The Sentinels have drawn enough fire that I think Newt will be able to drive this back. There's so many phalanx on this side. The Cataphracts will go down pretty quickly. All the Reclaimers have been eaten up. And now it's just a bit of an awkward phalanx line. And it doesn't look like Newt wants to mince words. He's just going to step forward and siege anyway. Throwing caution to the wind. He has no fast-moving units to move forward. But it's still enough. It's still enough to hold that. So now we need to go back to the drawing board. Shopdog making more phalanx. More apostles coming for him as well. He never reset his 12 o'clock when he sees that he's going to be kicking himself. Sure, you got some units over here at the, you got the 110 Sender and the Cataphract. It's going to be hard to bust, but even still, now he sees all the Masons. He's like, why am I so poor on the gas? Well, he was harvesting gas okay, but he's not capping anything. And now the top left natural is revealed by Newt's army. That could be the knockout punch. The Vulture's just trying to frustrate mining over here. There's nothing harvesting on this gas. That was never reset either. The Ministry will undoubtedly be taken out by the Catas. Well, right about now, it actually is going to force some more targeting. You can see he's trying to pull over to the top left resources to kind of draw the military out of position. In the process, we do end up cleaning up that Vulture run by, but there's phalanxes coming now. Arrange down the 10 Sender. In the process, Shopdog needs to move over there to clear out all these phalanxes, which is not going to be an easy task that doesn't require some micro. And down goes the 10 Sender. If only it had 150 more health. Shopdog considering his options. It feels like maybe he's flatlining a little bit here. He's adding some Sundogs. That can definitely help versus the Phalanx heavy armies. If you can get up to a good enough stack of them, you can just clear the ground very easily. And very cost efficiently as well. Katas and Striga, as well as a Durandal, are on the way. Try to see what they can do. Clear these Phalanxes somewhat easily. And the Reclaimers will try to keep the army stocked up. But remember, those units, when they're zombified and reclaimed, they do not have as much mobility as they once did. Now, stealing some of those Phalanxes might help out as this push comes in reinforced by Newt. It's not quite enough to push over. More Phalanxes, more Sundogs coming out from Shopkeeper. He's also adding Madcaps to try to restock the Contender, I think. And all of the Apostles getting cleaned by the Katas. That's one thing that the Katas do better than the Phalanx, it must be said. But it looks like he was able to clear that position. All of these Phalanx and infantry were holding in case this push ended up hitting him, but he's now going to end up losing the mining that's at that 3 o'clock position. He's down to 3 base, and look at the mini-map alone. Tells such a story here. It tells the story of Newt being on the apex of victory. He can taste qualification in his first try in the Tribunal. He does not need to try again. All the Masons that just got transferred over got cleaned up by Phalanx, and now 12 o'clock is going to be besieged. It's a desperate move across the map with the Sundogs. The last gambit for success, but there's at least one Phalanx and some more off of the rally that are going to frustrate this attack. Reinforcements coming back in, doubling back from the successful raid on 3 o'clock. I don't think 12 o'clock will be cleared, so this might be everything Shopkeeper has besides what comes out of his main base. With the Ministry dead, the Sundogs fly in, the Cataphracts will riposte their assault. There's a lot of Phalanxes over here. Shopkeeper knows that this is really his last chance, so he's going to give it everything it's got. But he knows his days are numbered. He knows his time is up. It's coming to a close. He's got a great Phalanx line. But what do you do from this position? You might have stopped 6 o'clock from mining, but there's so much more than that left to do. It looks like the Sundogs have likely been cleared by this point, or they flew back to maybe try to clear up 12. But there's so many Katas, you can't really do that easily. Shopkeeper, the penny dropping. A fizzle rather than a bang, but a 20-minute game on Battle Spectre will decide what might be the longest series. I have to check the timestamps on the Shambler one. I think that this isn't quite as long. The break comes out, the Masons are pulled. Everything on the line here. Newt is happy to push on through and break the blockade. And Shopkeeper Dog types GG. Newt has qualified to the Battleman stage, and I could not be prouder. What a man, claiming a 3-2 victory over Shopkeeper Dog. All best of 5s versus the rest of the field as well. And yeah, you know, wasn't that a banger? All I can say after these series, though, is you better bet, you better believe, you better hope it's not going to be a TVT Best of 7 Grand Finals. We'll be going for 2 hours, baby. We'll be going for at least 2 hours. What a series, man. Congrats to Newt. He's made it through, and Shopkeeper Dog will have to qualify amid an ocean of Ascozi players in the next Tribunal, I'm sure. If you want to be eligible for Tribunal invites, you just got to be good enough. So join the Discord server, play those competitive matches, send me your replays. I'll give you a rating. If you're really good, you're going to get the invite. Don't you worry about it. And don't you worry about it, Shopkeeper Dog, because there just ain't a way that a player of your caliber ain't going to qualify. But it's not going to be today. Newt performs the slight upset, seed number 2 beating seed number 1 in a very contested series. GG, boys. We move on. And we move away from Acropolis 4's first 3 tribunals. Next time we see some competition, at least in the tribunal stage, it'll be with the Ascozi enabled. I'll see you guys then.